So I'm also going to, if you're on the audition call tomorrow, I did send out a video on how to do your 1-minute pitch. So please make sure that you watch that, because the meeting planners that are auditioning, what I told them is you're just going to treat it just like you called them out of the blue, to pitch your main topic to them. So make sure that you watch that video. If you have any questions, just let me know. That's going to be tomorrow at, I think, 2 o'clock. And then they're coming back on the 21st to add to their speaker roster as well. If you are looking at signing up for the program, the June promos, just to make sure everybody knows, those are going on right now, where you do get a discount if you want to come on to the Speaker in a Box program or the Speaker Academy. We have prepaid options. We also have a trial that's 1 month that can be applied to your lifetime membership as well. So we've sent details out about that. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Audrey Walleser Martin. I've known Audrey for a while. She came over from the pageant industry, which was pretty cool. So I'm going to actually let Audrey introduce herself, talk about her background. If you have questions, and if anybody else comes in, Audrey, I'm going to just enter them and mute them when they come in. But if you would just kind of tell everybody a little bit about yourself, how you're using the program, the tips that you have been using to get the phenomenal results you have been getting. So Audrey, you can take it away.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your night to spend some time with me tonight to kind of share and discuss all of our experiences. As Carrie said, my name is Audrey Walleser Martin, and I am in beautiful Montana. So I am in a very, very rural area. So a little bit different than many of the urban areas that many of you come from. And so that's part of the reason why I really want to kind of share with you my successes tonight with this program. As I tell people, if I live in the rural outback of Montana and made this successful, I'm sure that you can do the same thing as well. A little bit about my background. I have been in emergency management for 23 years. I've been a firefighter for 23 years. I was a law enforcement officer for 5, and been an emergency manager for local government and state government for 14 years. So I have a really interesting background. I did come from the pageant world. That's how I met Carrie. Competed in pageants for 35 years. My dad was in the military, and my parents put me in pageants to meet people. So that is kind of how I came to meet Carrie. And one of the things I tell people is I'm not a professional speaker. I'm just a speaker who comes from a profession. So I go to conferences and I meet amazing speakers as well. And so I just kind of always aspire to be that. My educational background is I have a bachelor's in public relations communications, and then I have a master's degree in political science. So that's a little bit about that. I work a full-time job for state government in emergency management, and then I also own 2 separate businesses completely separate of my emergency management. So I totally understand people being strapped for time. So when I came across Carrie's program, I was really interested because obviously emergency management and emergency preparedness is such a huge topic that resonates with everybody. We hear about floods. We just got out of this horrible COVID pandemic. It's such a universal topic. And so it was one of those things that with my experience, I've came up with some tips and tricks to kind of help people get through whatever their worst day is. And I like to call my presentation and my speaking is called Playing the Odds. And by using my tips or tricks, we hope to save a life. So that's kind of the seriousness of my presentation. When I started getting Carrie's leads, filling out the requests for information or, the speaker presentations, and I filled them out. And what I ended up doing is I took it a step further. I actually created a Word document. I put my little intro on there and made sure that was all grammatically correct and had all the punctuation correct and all that. I had a little blurb about my presentation, what were the takeaways, what did I want to do, and I just created that on a Word document. And so every time that I went to do a presentation, it was just cut and paste. I didn't have to rethink about it, except when I did little modifications. If I was making a pitch to a painters organization or something like that, I could say, hey, this is what we have to do with painting or safety in the industrial world or whatever that is. So I could make little tweaks to my presentation, but I wasn't spending huge amounts of time. And as we all know with COVID, it's really kind of put a kink in presentations and being out in the public, and every state and every area kind of has their own rules and regulations right now. So a lot of the presentations that I have been doing have been virtual, and there hasn't been much pay at all. I mean, that's just kind of the way people are going. Zoom is a popular thing, Teams, those kinds of things. So being asked to work on those is sometimes frustrating if you're trying to make money speaking. And so I'm a firm believer. I really like to get out and do my presentation and work with people and kind of spread my message. So I have zero problem with speaking for free. The caveat to that is that I try to make sure that I'm getting something for my time, whether that's an attendees list or whether that's, a list of their sponsors or just a list or something that I can connect with the people who participated. And that's actually how I booked my $15,000 contract was I did a presentation online through a Zoom meeting for a group of people. I followed that up with, I sent out a blast email about my program, what I talk about, my speaking presentation. And I had a gentleman respond back to me and he said, oh yeah, I caught your presentation. I thought you were great, but I didn't get your contact information. I'm so glad you reached out to me. We visited a while and he said, hey, I'm looking for a subject matter expert on a topic that you know a lot about. I'm trying to build a contract with another company. We're trying to do some litigation stuff. And hey, can I hire you to be a subject matter expert on this kind of negotiation? You kind of come in and we talk about things and working with my lawyers and presenting things to my board and presenting things to my stakeholders and my stockholders and all of these kinds of things. Is this something you're interested in? And I'm like, well, sure. And he says, well, hey, I'll send over a contract for what I'm kind of thinking rate wise. And he said, we can negotiate a little bit on that. And so lo and behold, when I got it sent over and we finished the negotiations, it was $15,000 to help him do this. And I'm sure that anybody, no matter where you live, $15,000 is a pretty significant chunk of change and definitely helps you build your business or, take that trip that we've needed or whatever your kind of financial goals are. So what I like to tell people is with Carrie's program, and one of the things that I've found is that I really work those leads. We have those basic leads that she gives us and we have the speaker in the box, but one of those things is that I take those and I follow up even a little bit more. I may submit that lead for that particular speaking opportunity, but then I may go to their website and I look at other conferences they may be booking or other events they may be doing. And I'll reach out to them and say, hey, do you need a speaker for this event you're having in a couple months? This really ties into what I do. Or I'll go to their association website and say, hey, you've got something local for me. Can I come to your local, where it's, 100 miles or so or whatever you're comfortable with, and say, hey, can I speak? Or can I sell my books or pass out my literature or things like that? So I just really work those leads maybe a little bit more. And I think part of the thing that everybody gets really hung up on is, oh my gosh, this takes so much time. And I'll be honest with you, even with the extra work that I do with those leads that Carrie sends out every week, I'm spending maybe 2 hours a week working those leads. So I have my 15 minutes where I submit my information to the calls or the leads that she sends us out. And then my follow-up, I'm only spending 2 hours a week. We're not spending huge amounts of time. I mean, like I said, I work a full-time job. I have 2 businesses. I have a child. I have all of those things that take my time. And so we've all got these things that really press our time. So being able to time effectively, work those leads and being able to kind of get the best bang for your buck, I think is really, really important. Carrie had a question about, can you tell them the other events you're booked to speak? I actually am booked out. I have bookings all the way to February of 2022, doing everything from women's conferences to I have some OSHA painters conferences and kind of industrial stuff. I've also got some things for some domestic violence survivor skills. We're teaching that. So just kind of this whole spectrum of things. And some of the things that I can tell you that when I'm talking to meeting planners or associations is that they really want relevant topics. How is your topic relevant to what's going on right now? So if you're doing, say, stress management, how does that apply to today's society? Stress past a pandemic or stress in an economically challenged, whatever that looks like. So really making your topics relevant to what's going on or what they're organization is. How do you tie that into who you're pitching to? So that's why that Word document, to me, that it's really rough. It's just little blurbs, but lots of copy and paste, and I can just spend a few minutes editing that for the association or whatever I'm trying to do. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell of kind of how I do it. But I really think that, you know, I don't have the time to go out and seek those leads out. They're very beneficial to me. I can work them and develop them into more. I keep a very thick notebook, and I work my way out and I say, hey, if I talk to XYZ organization and they respond back going, nope, we don't have anything at this time, I'll put out a reminder in 6 months and say, hey, I'm going to email that organization back again and see if they're booking something else, or if someone canceled. I've got a couple bookings because people go, nope, I'm still not interested in traveling because of COVID, which is completely understandable. I mean, it's kind of scary stuff. So I just check back. I just have this very thick binder that I use to kind of keep track of those leads. So even as far out, I've only been in Carrie's program about a year. I mean, I've got a binder where I've got reminders set for myself. And so I'm working those leads even more past just the time frame that they're accepting them. So using them to kind of build, you know, kind of what we call in the, you know, the business world, having things in the pipeline, those are always really important. So we can add stuff that we had previous from the old pipeline, and then we're getting these new leads and working them. So I think that's really important. I think it's great because you just kind of, you build these opportunities for yourself. You can speak as much as you want to, you can speak not as much as you want to. The other great thing about virtual presentations is you don't have travel costs, and it's a really great way to kind of fine tune things, I think, and get in front of as many people as possible. Like I said, if I do virtual presentations, I do ask for either the attendee list, or I do ask for the sponsor list, or at least some of that, just to kind of recoup so I can work those additionally. I have not had one person kind of balk at that. I get basically a PDF file of everybody who attended, phone numbers, email addresses, and those types of things. And then I just follow up afterwards saying, thank you for attending my presentation. Here's a little bit more information on me and what I do. If you're interested in speaking further, here you go. I've gotten no nasty responses from that. So, I mean, I don't know if people are reading them. I've gotten a few people that follow up saying, hey, I want you to speak for this, or hey, could you provide me some information? So just having that open dialogue. And I had one lady who just asked me today, as a matter of fact, if I'd be interested in maybe speaking at the National PTA Convention to parents about how to keep their kids safe. It's like, well, that's great. It's a very broad topic, because how do we narrow that down? Those are big, safe topics. So, but that wouldn't be until almost 2023, because that's how far out they book these very large conventions and these very large things. So, I mean, I've got things in the pipeline kind of in that 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and then beyond. So that's kind of how I work it. That's my system. Like I said, I'm in very rural Montana. I tell people, I said, I live in an area where we do not have broadband internet. It's all satellite. My local community is about 25 people, and the closest Walmart is over an hour away. So that's how rural I am. So I just wanted to share with you that if it works here, I know it will work for you guys. So I'm more than happy to answer any questions that anybody may have, or anything that I can help you kind of work through. So I open it up to you guys.
Thank you, Audrey. And I think what I'm going to do, because we have 2 other people on here, I'll just, if you want to, instead typing, don't type it into chat. If you want to unmute yourself, you can ask Audrey directly. I did want to let everyone know, I did share the link to the Speaker Success Journal. So I know, Audrey, you use your own thing that you created. That's a PDF that I created. I actually use that, and I share it with people in the Academy and the Speaker in a Box program, because it's a 90 days to success, different follow-up ideas, just to kind of keep people organized with keeping track of meeting planners and those different things. So you're welcome to print out a copy if you'd like, if it will help you. So that's what I use. So I wanted to make sure everybody knew that was there. So if you, Kim, Robert, if you have any questions for Audrey, if you want to unmute yourself, you are more than welcome to do so.
So first of all, can you hear me okay? I'm in a hotel lobby, unfortunately. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, because I can't hear me at all.
Oh.
I can't hear me, but if you can hear me, that's great. So first of all, Audrey, thank you so much for your service. I'm also a fireman as well.
Oh.
but I don't do as dangerous as you. I guess you're wildland, you're a smoke jumper. Yeah, I did a little cyber stalking of you while you were talking. So, yeah, so, I mean, things that people don't know. I mean, the biggest danger of firefighters is actually a crazy person attacking you. So I've had that more danger than I've had from firefighting, because not in a big city where I work in DC and urban areas, there's